Hello and welcome. This is another episode of the Ubuntu podcast. And as you can see, I'm not by myself. I'm with a good friend of mine. I'll let her introduce herself. The floor is
Hi,
yours.
everybody. My name is Nasante Magwa Nakamba, and I was honored with an invitation of which I'm here. And I hope it will be a good podcast because I'm excited to be here.
So, Mom for Balanda Kwetsungu, she's honored to be here. Tantalizing language right there. We're going to get right into it. Gonna get right into it. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about trauma, how trauma affects so many of us, our relationships, our friendships, and also our personal existence and how we relate with other many things in the world. So
Yep.
Nasante, what's
Yes,
your
Prince.
what's your take on trauma? What do you think trauma is about?
Um, so trauma, in my own explanation, is past experiences that were bad,
Yeah,
that demeaned your character,
yeah,
and now they constantly show up in your present life as events. So different events that happened, whether, for example, you were told a certain thing, and it continuously comes up in your different relationships with people,
yeah,
how you perceive yourself,
yeah.
and just how you perceive the environment in the world.
And also how you I think we can also add to say how you react to certain
To certain
situations as well.
situations. Yeah.
Like if anything that happens to you in the present that actually reminds you of what happened back like in grade six when somebody told you were ugly and your nose was big or your forehead or your lips or whatever.
Yeah. And you are a
Reminds
dark child like me. You're melanin.
you
Yeah.
melanin. So you were
Yeah.
you
I haven't
were
been light.
no tell
I
us the
was born
truth.
black.
Tell us the truth. You were bullied over your skin tone.
Yes. So I was born black. You know, there's that cartoon where one is born like pretty white, and
Uh-huh.
then the other one is born like black, black.
Wait, you mean you were like okay, I know all of us when we were born were like light skin, like
No, I wasn't
you
as
were
light
like
skin.
dark skin,
I was dark skin,
like black,
black, black.
like black shaka black.
Exactly.
Okay, tell us more
So
about that.
I am now a colored now, as you can see, because I'm older.
Okay.
But it's not Mekako.
Yeah, but it's super, eh? Yeah.
Yeah. So that affected how I perceive myself.
Okay.
But now, like melanin is a thing.
Melanin is
So
a thing. Some dark chocolate. Do you like dark chocolate or vanilla? I don't discriminate on my side. Just on the real though, and anything goes. So aside from, oh, could you say more on how you reacted to being bullied about your skin and all that?
funny enough, it didn't come from people outside. It actually came from people inside,
You mean inside like family members? Or
family members.
okay.
Yeah. So they would say, "Oh, yeah, you were coffee by your black. Come on, come black." So like it made me think that people who are light skinned are much more beautiful than people who are dark skinned, and people would perceive light skinned babies as actual babies, and then you who is dark skinned, like umwana, you know what I mean? When someone says,
One.
"Oh, you need baby,"
Mm,
and this is a baby,
yeah.
you know, the different dynamics, and yeah. So I thought I was less beautiful because I'm not as light skinned, and because my melanin is always popping, even on pictures. Like you'll be the only one, you know, there. Someone can mark
Highlighted
you
in a dark way. Eh?
in the dark way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but now it's a thing. Like people want to be darker,
They want to be melanin.
caramel,
The
cocoa,
is it the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice?
sweeter than
The sweeter
exactly.
the juice. Okay, I see where that's coming from. Okay, could you tell us on how you managed to deal with being bullied about your skin tone and how you were actually born and what effects do you think it had on you growing up in terms of getting some kind of since we're talking about trauma here.
So well, yes, I was bullied by internal parties,
Yeah.
but my mom always had to remind me of how beautiful I was.
Mhm.
And as you can see, I have very long hair, so it also did
At you have
a
what?
part. Long hair,
Long hair.
natural
Long
hair.
hair. Okay.
Yeah. And so when I got bullied about my skin tone,
Uh,
and they would say all these demeaning words,
yeah.
sometimes I'll just tell them like, wait until you have your own kids. Hopefully, you don't get married to someone as dark as me, or probably the Lord doesn't give you someone as dark as me as a child, and then we'll see how it goes.
So you'd fight back with your mouth.
Yeah.
Ha, apa
And
kamu
then
eh?
sometimes I'll feel bad, but so I got to dress up a certain way so that I could look more beautiful. So I would wear a lot of bright colors
Yeah,
to get attention. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And then I have like very pretty hairstyles to get attention, so that everyone can see that I'm very pretty, like I'm cute. So
Was that dressing up in bright colors or doing the cute hairstyles from a place of confidence or a place of insecurity about the bullying and growing up like that?
I think it was from place of um, uh, probably both.
Both, like trying to get confidence and also feeling kind of insecure that if I
Yeah,
don't dress this way, people.
people want.
Ah,
Then after a while, I think I didn't even. It didn't affect me in any way because being black was actually a thing.
yeah,
Like if someone has a black skin, people are like, "Oh my God, your skin." You know, people want black models, and
yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, okay." Then that means it's just certain people that didn't just like my color because they've never seen it everywhere else. And so yeah, I embraced me being black,
Yeah,
and I loved being black.
you love being black. Okay, you've told us on how you embraced it, like, but what do you think were the effects that had on you growing up in terms of confidence,
Esteem.
esteem?
My esteem was sometimes low, especially when I found myself in spaces where there are Caucasian children, mixed
Yeah,
children, light skinned, children.
yeah,
Even if I am smart enough, I wouldn't be as smart. I'd rather keep quiet because all the light skinned children are more beautiful ones.
yeah.
And they're the ones that people would love to get pictures with, people want to be friends with. So I'll just, yeah, keep myself in the cool and keep myself in my corner so that I just don't have people telling me that I'm black. So I'd rather not hear it. That made me have very few friends growing up.
So it affected you had very few friends because people were selective. Like, look at she.
Light skinned people always want to play with light skinned people, even as adults. You know this.
I had no idea that's what's going on. Like I'm friends with a lot of cool
Oops.
white light skinned people, not white people, but cool light skinned
Oops.
people.
I just saying
You
it.
said that. Okay,
No, you,
okay, maybe I've
you
never
should see certain cliques.
think it's just light skinned people. Or maybe it's on the female side if we say that.
No, it's nothing about gender. I'm being honest.
But I haven't seen that on the nigga side. We cool like that. You black and
Nah, fam. Nah. Nah.
Okay. Let's not dive deep into those friendship things. I wanted us to bring it back to on how trauma messes with your any kind of
Different
trauma
relationships.
messes with your esteem
Yeah.
or your level of confidence in yourself. Because even I personally, I was bullied my whole school life, aside from uni, but like from primary school all the way to secondary school, I experienced all the bullying, and I grew up in a time where, when I was in high school, there was those people in Quito they called the tax collectors,
Yeah.
and these guys were people part of gangs, like
Yeah.
those hardcore gangs. We had people like Eso, Team Tokota. So at that time, I was still in university when that was happening, and I was a
Yeah.
victim to those guys all the time.
Why was that?
I don't know. It was I already had more trauma before that. My esteem was
Yeah.
like already messed up from where
Messed up,
where I was
yeah.
coming from, because
Exactly.
again, as in a household where I think I've mentioned this a couple of times. I grew up in a household where there was a lot of domestic violence. I'd see my mom get beat up by my dad, and that messed with
Yeah.
who I was as a person. Like,
Yeah.
what kind of home am I living in that's different from every other child's home?
Household.
So,
Exactly.
and I'll be walking in the streets, and that will be the thing on my mind more than anything else.
Yeah.
Then that made me a person that was very weak in terms of esteem and confidence.
Yeah.
So walking around, and then I meet those guys. You know what I'm saying? Mwachi tupeleko tu watch.
Customer.
You know, mwachi tupeleko tu watch. You cannot even stand up for yourself in the first
No, you
place.
can't.
You're already broken by the trauma in your household. Then you meet a bully. They're just adding on to that, and when they're done with you, you feel worse than you were before.
Exactly. So for me, I actually became a bully as
You
well.
become a
So
bully on the other side.
yeah. So I became a bully
Yeah,
to bully bullies, if it makes
you,
sense.
you started bullying bullies. I think
Yeah.
I go to that stage very late.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
proceed. Then I'll talk about my side.
So I because of growing up in a house where you have older
Yeah,
siblings,
yeah,
cousins, blah 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 blah. So you're always protected. But now you go to school
yeah.
and you move from a private school to a government school, and now people start picking on you because you're
Yeah,
small. Oh, at the time there was been a time in my life where, yes, I grew up in Lusaka,
yeah.
but I never spoke Nyanja, and
You are speaking what?
I would only speak English
Yeah.
and our local language,
Yeah.
like my mother tongue,
Uh-huh.
right? So I now go to the school. I literally not even close to broken. So you just know how to greet, blah 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 blah
Yeah,
blah
yeah,
blah.
yeah, yeah.
So you'll be picked on
Yeah.
in different settings because you can't speak vernacular,
Yeah.
or you come from something they perceive as a little bit above their privilege kind of lifestyle,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So then I said, I cannot live like this, constantly being scared. You come with your food, someone tells you, bring that, and then
Very good, Mashi.
you
Yeah.
hand it in. I said, okay, no thanks. This isn't how I was brought up. I was brought up to defend myself.
Yep.
And yeah, so I rose to the occasion. So there was a time that I think a guy in my class slapped me for no apparent reason. He
Slap you
found
for
me
no
and
apparent
slapped
reason.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I asked why he did, he says, because a girl cannot be smart in
Bullies are the
math.
worst.
In math, so
Yeah.
yeah. So if I at that point I had already made the decision to say people won't bully me because of my intelligence, people won't bully me because I'm small,
Yeah.
neither will they bully me because I'm black.
Yeah.
And so yes, I am introverted. I don't have good people skills, and I don't really like being in places with people I absolutely do
Do
not
not.
know.
Nah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I need to find a way to defend myself.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I resulted to violence, but it never reached my
Okay.
parents,
Violence. Violence.
My mother never found out. She was never called for violence. And then sometimes, like, I made teams with people that were bullies so that
Yeah.
they can bully the other bullies. So when I'm bullied, I just tell, like, the troops, like, fam, there is this guy,
Yeah.
and I need you to sort him out for me. If that's not it, I would watch movies to just understand weak points
Yeah.
for people so that the next time I sit there, I observe you, I understand what's your weak point, then I attack so that I shouldn't be bullied.
So from that point, I can say you started studying psychology a long time ago.
Yeah, I started studying people so that I can be able to attack. So I will look for your weak point. It might take long. It might seem as though, oh, I don't fight back, but the moment I do, it will mess you up. I'll be your trauma.
So you've actually also caused some trauma yourself.
Everybody does.
Everybody does.
Everybody
Me, I'm
does.
an angel, guys. Me, I don't.
No, but
Okay,
let's be
okay.
honest.
100% honest. We've all. I personally believe that we affect people in different ways without actually even knowing it.
Yeah.
You might think, even though bullying is bad and all that, but we've all affected people in a negative way, and we've all
Exactly.
contributed to people's traumas.
Exactly.
I need us to bring it back to the point of what made you begin to like stand up for yourself. Like, okay, I gotta be the bully instead of being bullied. Because I knew I got to that point like late. That was like, I think grade 12. That was, you know what? I was like, you know what? I'm actually a gangster in the first place. I'm from the Copper
Yeah.
Belt. There's Tokota, there's whatever. And I'm part of them, but I wasn't like part of them. But like, I belong
Exactly.
here, so I should be one of them.
I
But
should be one of them.
what clicked for you to start standing up for yourself?
Um, I think I was tired of reporting and
Yeah.
nothing being done.
Okay.
I was tired of always feeling scared,
Yeah.
always being vulnerable. To top it all off, you are also female, so that
Makes it even
adds
worse.
up,
Even worse. Even worse.
makes it
Even
worse.
worse.
So why is it that you should always be weak? You should be always seen as the weak one. You're
Yeah.
the only one going back with bruises.
Yeah.
What is it that they have that I don't have, that I'm always at the vulnerable side or the weak end?
Yup.
Just because I was brought up in a kind home does not mean that kindness must be you being nice.
Yeah.
You can be very kind but not nice, and
There's a huge difference between
there's a
being
huge
kind and
difference.
being
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
So I didn't want to be a people pleaser anymore. So if the shoe fits like a Cinderella,
Yeah.
I'm going to come for you. So
We're going to
yeah,
scrap it.
I just made up my mind. I think one day I was tired of crying,
Yeah.
and I said I won't cry anymore.
Yup.
I removed my tears,
Yeah.
and I removed my mucus because yeah, it was a long session of crying.
You know that there's that crying when you
And I
there's that
said,
crying as a
God,
child for you cry, mucus is
Drooling.
flowing.
exactly.
Like, yeah, I think I know it.
Yes, and I'm tired of going back home trying to
Yeah.
defend these people that cannot defend me in
Yep.
front of my parents. Like when my mom asked where are your books, somebody got it because they didn't write their homework and they got it by par,
Yep.
and the book is not coming back. Yeah, which meant that I might not even get the things that I want for a particular season because mom needs to use that money for someone else's misconduct. So I said,
Yep.
enough is enough. God, you have been my witness. I have been nice for a long time. I am tired.
I am
So I threw in
tired.
the kama, towel, and that was it.
Like,
And I started
it's time
coming
to
for
be the
people.
one. Yeah. Yeah.
It's time to be the leader.
It's time to be the gang. It's time to be the terrorist,
Yes.
not being terrored anymore. That's cool. That's really cool. And I think we all come to like after experience like bullying and knowing the effects of it, and also coming to a place of okay, you have done crying enough, you have been picked on enough,
Yeah.
and what's scary during that process is your people are not there to help you. You're like the
No.
people that should be helping you. When you meet those bullies or whatever,
They are nowhere to be seen.
they are nowhere to be seen, and you can't tell them. I don't know where that fear
Fear
used
comes
to come.
exactly.
That fear comes from where you're being bullied in school or you're being bullied in the streets. You can't really tell the people in your household that okay, this
That's
is what's
happening,
happening to
exactly.
me. I don't know where that comes from, but I feel like even when you're in that process, the more that happens, I think that's what actually takes you to the place of, you know what, I've
I've
had enough.
yes.
Let me stand up to one bully. If he kills me, he kills me.
If I die, I die.
If I die, I die. At least I stood up for myself.
Exactly.
Because that's the place I go to. I think late grade 11.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it happened to me a couple times, like especially grade 8, grade 9, 7, 6. There, Kitwe was a very dangerous
It
place.
still is, fam.
It's better than it is.
Oh, okay.
Like back in the day, like 2015 going
Yeah.
down, you wouldn't move at 18 by yourself.
For
Worse off, there's no power. Because the streets get real dark. Especially in Deke. Deke village, Mukuba na Twange, those areas where these people were actually staying, the actual Tokota, the whatever,
Yeah.
these guys, these gang guys, then Muzakile and Deke village. And then when the streets get dark, that's when they actually come out. And they would pick on anybody they find by themselves around 18 to 19.
Do they have
And
knives?
those are the times I would go out to watch football. Like I go to a bar because I born them got to go TV. Tawariranga Man United versus Chelsea. It has nothing to do with last week's match.
Yesterday.
Yesterday's match. It has nothing. Oh, was it Thursday?
Thursday.
Thursday's match. It has nothing to do with the Thursday match. So you come out, you go to the streets. Then all of a sudden, one time, I was my boy, my best
Yeah,
friend. We're walking from watching, I think Arsenal versus United.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden power went. Now I look to my left. I saw 4 guys
Wow.
walking in a group.
Interesting.
I looked behind. I saw 3 guys. I picked it up. I was like, yo, I think we're in trouble. So it's like, here it's better that we walk fast
Yeah.
or we slow down. These guys behind us pass.
Pass, yeah.
But that was the formation. So the guys behind us were actually there to, if we were to run back, they were going to catch us.
Wow.
Because on this side of the street there was a wall. We couldn't go this side. One way. So one way traffic. This side we can't run. They are there. So it was one way traffic. Then the guys behind came closer. The guys in front, they crossed the road. They put us in the middle. Then two guys in the front,
Sandwich.
two guys in the side. You couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So after all those experiences, there's a day as well I just came to. You know what? I'm actually from here. Like you said, you started studying people and their weak points.
Yeah.
For me, I did the opposite. I started studying how those guys act, so that when they meet me,
You are one of them.
I just reciprocate the energy. Like,
Yeah.
so after I studied them, I was like, okay, they have a walk, they have a tone, they're a bit aggressive, they don't smile anyhow. And when you're walking, just be throwing your hands up and lift your chest. So one time I was walking, then one of
have a
them called me, was
question now.
like, mwache, pele tu kuache. Na baka mbata pare mone ka bwino hapo mone tu mona shande kan tu were pantanj pare. That's the to me so. And from that day, that was the day my bowling was done. From that day, I
Interesting.
just. You had a question?
Yes. Is it why
Yeah.
you still work like that even now? Because
Yeah, a big percent of it is why.
yeah. Okay.
Because I had to really fit
It's
in.
now become part. Your trauma is
It's
part
now
of your
become-
persona.
Yeah, that's the thing. Trauma does become part of our
who you
persona.
are. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any experience you'd like to share on that? What traumas do you think have shaped you?
I think the one trauma that has become part of my persona is
Yeah.
anyway, it has been changed to something good, but one of it is always being on my toes, right?
Yeah.
So you can't use my smartness against me.
Yeah.
So I pretend to be very naive.
Wow.
Yeah, in a lot of spaces. I pretend to be very naive. In a lot of spaces, I don't like titles as well. I don't
Yeah.
like borders. Neither do I like systems
Yeah.
because if systems cannot protect you, then why are they there?
Yep.
Exactly. So yeah, I pretend to be a very naive. Actually, someone will be talking to me. I'll be like, "Wow, interesting. Uh huh.
Yeah,
So what did you do?
I didn't know.
Like I did not know.
Yeah.
So how can you? You know what I mean?
But you actually know.
I know because it becomes so like the experience is so. I wouldn't want to use the word so much, but because of your intelligence, people
Yeah.
no longer want to see you as you. They're just
Yeah.
there for your intelligence.
They're just there to draw from you and not
They,
actually
yeah,
pour
you
back
don't.
into you.
I got to notice that, and it happened when I was in uni. Actually, I got to
Yeah.
notice that you have friends as leeches. Sorry to use that word, but the only friends, you
Friends
have
as leeches.
or parasites.
Leeches.
Yes.
Parasites.
Yes.
Mosquitoes. I gone. I just emphasizing the point.
Yes, because
Yeah.
the only reason why they are your friend is because of what they can get from you. But
Yeah.
when the seasons get tough
Yeah.
and you need people,
Yeah.
you'll just be reminded that you only have family.
Yeah.
And your friends are nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
They would rather go to another person than stand with you in times of
Mm-hmm.
your trouble. It's like one person said, when you're looking inside your circle and you need the 1,000
Yeah.
and you can't get it, but you're always given, there is something wrong.
Wow.
So majority of the times, some of my friends were just there because of what they could reap, but not necessarily what we can grow together, as
So
friends.
they were there because of how smart you were.
How
and
smart
how,
I am. Or
And how much
sometimes
wisdom they could draw from you.
from you, and I still get it now.
Yeah.
Someone would just call you on the basis of you analyzing something for them,
Yep.
and immediately they're done. They wouldn't even want to speak to you to tell you like how that went.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or sometimes someone is actually making something out
Yep.
and they call you and you can literally tell that step by step, this is a step by step process. So
Yeah.
if you answer this question, this is the other question that will come. But you're playing naive because, oh, this is my friend. You know what I mean?
You know, the whole time you're speaking, it's playing, it's giving friends with benefits in the wrong context.
Context.
Not the one we're used to, but
Yes.
like friends with benefits. Like I'm just here when she's smart. I'm not like a friend.
So
I'm here because she can get me through my assignment. Yeah.
I'm here because my friend can fix it. Yeah. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
And then at some like my uni days, I got to get friends
Yep.
that really loved me for me. And then apart from those, I have friends
Yep.
that I've had for a long time. I won't mention names,
Yeah.
but I've loved them.
Shout out to our friends. You know yourself. I know some of you. Me too. I'm in the list. Eh?
In the list.
Mhm.
Yes, and yeah, I got to experience friends that really loved me for who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the nonsense that comes with me.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
I can be myself,
Real.
and that helped me grow in so many ways, even in becoming a better friend. Because
Yeah.
all I knew out of that was, people cannot be your friend unless you have something to give always. But yeah, it's not every friend.
It's not every
Yeah,
friend. Some people are just real. Shout out to my friends. Mwah.
we
To
love you.
the females. The guys don't receive that. Mwah. Guys
Yeah.
like a fist pump.
Ah.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's not how to tell your bros how much you love them, right?
I told them I love them, but I can't blow them a kiss.
Just
No.
blow them that kiss.
No.
Can you receive it?
No.
And blow it
Shout
back?
out to you, fist pump. Mini.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. Speaking of friends, what trauma, what events in terms of trauma have shaped like how you define friendships, and what has been some of the most traumatizing events you've had in relation to friends?
This is quite something, but so I'll speak about it as it is.
Yeah.
So you are friends with people, but they're not friends with you.
Wow. Text me
Yeah.
if you're one of them. Maybe I'm not your friend. You're my friend, but maybe let me know.
Yes. So for me, it has nothing to do with you. It has
Yeah.
everything to do with me. So
Yep.
I got to learn to categorize people.
Yeah.
And I always say this. I think I've been posting this for a while now,
Yep.
since high school.
Yep.
I got to learn that there are certain people that will be friends with you. So they are friends of a season and friends of a lifetime. You have to differentiate the two. And also, there are people that were just meant to be your acquaintance and it ends there. There are
Real.
people that were just meant to be your church friends outside church. They
Real.
will harm you.
Yep.
Workmates are not your friends, but you can get one or two from there that become like your actual friends.
Real.
And it's nothing personal. It's just that you have not defined friendship. And most times we do not define friendship. Just
Yep.
because it's vibes and energies, we can move on. But through my past experiences, I've gotten to understand that you clearly have to define that friendship to move on, to understand where they have placed you, so that you are not running a you're not running a mile for someone who wouldn't run a centimeter for you. Yeah. So yeah, that has shaped me to categorize people. Yeah. So I just categorize people, and also have very less expectations from people. So I expect I'm going to be honest. I expect very minimal from people, so that when they do something, my heart can be now like, wow, you did that for me,
Something real.
you know. And for me, I think it's the little things that matter as well. I think that also came as a trauma, to be honest,
Yeah.
because yeah, you would
What
give
what
big
happened?
things
What happened to for you to get to a place where you don't expect so much
From
from
people.
people? Yeah.
So you tend to sometimes you tend to give. Well, I'll
Yeah.
just say it in my own words, like you give,
Yeah.
and you are thinking that you will have to receive. But coming to reading the Word of God,
Yeah.
it explains that we are givers more than we are takers.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to give people on the basis of you expecting something,
Yeah.
then you are not given as a cheerful giver. You're given so that someone can owe you, or you can owe them, or vice versa, whichever it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you give, and then you be like, oh, that person owes me, right? And so that's why I have less expectation. So I will give just on the basis of I have given,
Uh-huh.
and I do not care whether you give it back or you don't. But I have given you my love. Whatever you do with it is you, and it has nothing to do with me. I was kind enough. And when I leave, I have left not necessarily because of anything,
Yeah.
but you just showed me that it is not of benefit to you, so I would rather just move on. So you don't expect so much from people. and unless you have a very defined relationship. But even so, you give people the benefit of the doubt so that you are not as disappointed, because through my friendships I have gotten a lot of disappointments.
Hey,
Yeah.
God. Uh-huh.
Not, like, to be honest, people have a problem even till date with
Yep.
people genuinely celebrating others or supporting others. And just because we're no longer friends does not mean that I don't support you or celebrate you. I do. It just happened that we had a rough patch that couldn't be
Fixed.
fixed.
Nothing personal. The only thing
Nothing
that should be
personal.
personal in your life is your relationship with God.
Exactly. So it's
Yeah.
nothing personal. So I stopped taking things personal as well because of my relationships with people. So live in the moment. So if you're having time, have time in the moment. Jump in the moment. Cruise in the moment. When life happens, it has happened. But always categorize people. Yeah, not everyone was meant to know where I live, for example.
So always
Because they'll
categorize
just come and say,
people.
yeah, Walalando Chusung, but where they live. They weigh you
Always,
down.
always, always categorize people. I
Always.
think
Yeah.
that's something we generally ignore,
Yeah.
which is understanding that there are levels to friendship.
They are.
I like the fact that you mentioned there are friends you're supposed to do life with, and there are seasonal friends. And if both of you don't understand this thing, that either you're seasonal or lifelong, one of you will get hurt when the friendship ends.
Ends.
Like one of you will get hurt thinking, we were supposed to, but there's all these things like outgrowing your friends and seasons change. They were just your anchor for that time. You gotta move. But
Experiences change.
an important factor which is there is the levels of friendship.
Yeah.
There's acquaintances, friends, close friends, best friends,
Best friends, confident.
confidence.
Yeah.
Then there's now life partners.
Life partners, exactly.
And it all comes down to us and our experiences in life, what we define these things to be.
Exactly.
But sometimes I feel like certain people, you will meet them, then as time goes by they fit into the box.
And another thing that I've learned, especially when it comes to friendships, is
Yeah.
you might meet people now,
Yep.
or the relationship might end now in this
Yeah.
season, but you might meet that person in the next 5 seasons. So it's
Yep.
very important how you end relationships with people.
Yeah.
Do not be so much into your emotions
I'm cutting you off.
and cut people off
Yeah.
because you might need them.
Yep.
Life was meant that we need each other. That's how God created it. Even coming from the top,
Yeah.
Himself, God.
Yeah.
God works in, He doesn't work in isolation. It's the Trinity, right? So, from time immemorial, from the beginning,
Yep.
the Bible will tell you that they were there,
Yep.
but the one that spoke the most was God the Father. But it doesn't mean that the Holy Spirit wasn't there, because when it was time to hover around the earth and separate the sea from, it wasn't God that did that. It was
Yep.
the Spirit of God that did it.
Yep.
So, because God doesn't work in isolation, you also can't work in isolation. You need each other because that's how God created it. Everything God created is a part. I need you, you need me.
I need you, you need me.
So that thing of cutting people off, no, shani, just because you're up in your feelings, respect the other one's feelings too. They are not a tree.
I hope you didn't cut me off this year. I'm coming back into your life by force. The year of suddenly, I'm back in your life. Okay, I'm joking. Yeah, but I understand. I feel like sometimes we over glorify what people feed us. I don't think the notion of cutting people off is just something that somebody actually sat down to do. It came from a place of feeling abandoned and hurt.
Yeah, it's a trauma.
Yeah,
The cancel culture is a trauma.
real,
Yeah.
real,
Yeah.
real. That's real. That's real. It is. It is.
Because you won't explain it in any way. Why are we canceling people?
Why are you cutting off people in the first place? Why are they not cutting you
You
off?
off. Why are you,
You are the
always the one?
toxic one.
You are the toxic one.
Okay.
And people are just dealing with everything that comes with you. I don't want to use the word, but everything that comes with you.
Yeah. Okay. It's. Yeah. I believe 100% that we pick up certain things based on where we are at in our feelings. So
Yes.
if you're in a hurt place with, let's say, friendships,
Yeah.
and the day you come across cutting off people, you will think that is the best solution to how you're feeling.
Exactly.
But sometimes it's conversation and confrontation and
Yeah.
setting better boundaries than you were in
Yeah.
before, so
True.
your next relationships can work. You don't necessarily also always have to cut off
Cut
people.
people.
You
Yeah.
can let go of relationship. That's different from cutting off like waptula.
You give distance. I think distance is what gives you peace. You give distance, and
Yeah.
that helps you forgive. You won't forget,
Yep.
but please don't forget all the good times you had, because you
Yep.
clearly had good times.
Yep.
You wouldn't see this person was my friend, even if it's an acquaintance. And the only thing that you have to say are bad things, which means there's something wrong with you as well,
Yep.
if that's all you carry.
Self awareness is very important. Self awareness is very important.
Very
The
important.
rush of cutting off friends without actually being aware of the level of toxicity you actually brought to the friendship is a bad
Carry
thing.
is a bad thing.
Nobody is a clean piece of paper like if we're to a angelic being. Me, I won't even lie to you. I
Me.
don't cut people off.
I don't as
But I
well.
feel we fight. Oh no, 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 that's
I don't cut
okay.
people off as
But I
well.
don't cut people off because I know I have bad traits in me as well. I'm not
Yeah.
the best of best
I'm not
friends.
perfect.
I'm not perfect, but the whole idea, I feel like the whole idea of cutting off people sometimes comes from thinking you're actually
A
the
saint.
saint or the perfect friend.
Yeah.
So it's not something we should indulge in. But let me bring it back. Let me bring it back a little bit. Let me bring it back a little bit. We're still talking about friends and trauma. I asked you the question. What's the most traumatic event or situation you've been in relation to friendship?
Okay, so we had
Give all
a
the
group of
details if you
friends.
want.
Huh?
Give all the details if you want. Yeah.
Nakana. So we had a
But
group
just
of
don't
friends.
mention their name. You can tell us.
I'm not definitely, but we had a group of
Yeah.
friends, and I'm sorry if the shoe fits,
Yeah.
but I just have to say it.
Sorry.
We had a group of friends,
Yeah.
and you thought you were pretty
Yep.
close, but they wouldn't tell you certain pieces to them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they want you to perceive them in a certain manner.
Yeah.
But these are your friends.
Yep.
And then because they now find somebody who they are able to gel
Yep.
with all those things they have left
Yep.
out from you, they get a better bond with that other
Yep.
person.
Yeah. Well.
And because of the person that I am,
Yep.
I began to withdraw.
Okay. Okay.
I would
Okay.
always be there for you,
Okay.
but I'm going to withdraw
Okay. Okay.
because it was hurtful
Mm-hmm.
that every season you had a new close friend
Mm-hmm.
I had no clue about,
Mm-hmm.
and then they had to become my friend because we're always going to be together.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to take in all their traits as well.
Yep.
But we're not friends like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was very hurtful. So I just withdrew. Not that I hurt you.
You didn't
I
tell
have
them
nothing
about
against
it
you.
or anything like that.
Sorry?
Did you tell them about it, or did you guys have like a conversation over it?
No, I didn't.
But you
I
just
just
did
I
the
just withdrew. Like as years went by,
Yeah.
I began to withdraw because it seemed like it's a trait, it's a character trait.
Yeah.
And with character traits, even if you bring it out,
Yep.
it will just bring defense mode. Either
You
ways,
begin to kind of like resent them.
yeah. Either ways, you won't win.
Yeah.
And so you can. The only thing I did was withdraw.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Till date, I think we still chat, we still have conversations. I'm still proud of who they are.
Okay.
But I think to their because the conversation was not had
Yeah.
to their own end,
Yep.
it seemed like I cut them off. No, I don't cut off people. And not because in a few years we can be friends again. No, but
Yeah.
because you didn't away from anything. You are not a bad person. Neither am I. Same.
We've just fallen off.
Yeah, we've just fallen off. We've just outgrown certain things that bonded us.
Yeah.
And you found someone else who you can gel with in those things that I have outgrown. And so I shouldn't take you. Yeah.
I get that.
Probably that wasn't even my character in the first place. That was all you. But because we're friends, you tend to hang in there and keep certain you know, traits in your character
Yeah.
that are not you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just look at the screen for me real quick.
Yeah.
The screen. The
Eh?
screen. Is it recording?
Yes. Yes.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Ah, we're recording. Walaka then. Okay. Speaking of, what would you say have been the events in relation to trauma that have built the Nasante we have right now? You can give me three aside from the one from the friendship. You can go in as much
I'm
detail
very
as you want.
I'm very self-reliant.
Yeah, like what
I don't ask for help
what made you like that? What happened like in the past and stuff like that?
because of being the person that people always run to in terms of being smart or intelligent.
Yeah,
You begin to not ask for help because even if you did ask for help, you wouldn't get the help that you need.
yeah,
For example, you ask a normal like
yeah,
question and you need an answer,
yep.
but instead of someone giving you like the answer, they're beating around the bush. So
Mhm.
you'd rather not just ask for the help because you know what type of response you might get. Or sometimes you want work done a certain way and you continue to explain it, and it's not done, which makes you now stand up and do the actual work. So you become very self reliant and what's the word? Yeah,
Self-dependent.
self dependent.
Self-dependent.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you depend more on yourself than actually asking for help. So you'd rather put yourself through pain
Then actually ask people to help you
than
for
ask
anything.
people to help you.
Real.
I think that's one thing even my friends now are battling with, and I think it's a learning course.
Yep.
So now I allow my friends to be there for
Yep.
me. I allow my friends to do things for me,
Yeah.
to get me gifts on my birthday and actually celebrate my birthday. So another thing is because of that as well, I got to celebrate. I love to celebrate others, but if the same energy was given to me, I feel like it's a lot of attention and I wouldn't want that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I stopped even celebrating birthdays. I don't like parties. I don't
I
like
thought I was
noise.
weird for not liking to celebrate birthdays. I'm not okay. In the past I was never a huge fan of birthdays, but
Yeah.
sometimes I do it for my people, the people that want to celebrate me and my
Yeah.
birthday. But
Yeah.
it's a self-reflective day for me. Like I'm turning
It's
something.
introspection day. I'm a year older. What do I have? And then
What
it
do I
looks nothing.
improve?
What have I?
Yeah,
Where are we at
where we at?
from
What
the
we
last
doing?
year? What are we
I'm not.
doing?
I just don't want to go out and celebrate this thing, then come back be the same person I was when I was
Again.
24.
It's like every time when people celebrate New Year's, I'm like, no, no, no. Don't even write those resolutions, darling, because tomorrow you'll be the same person.
Yeah. Go on. We're
Yeah.
still talking about you.
So, yeah, I am very introverted as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, people usually refuse this, and people think others use it out of context, but I am a huge introvert. If you've lived with me, you understand.
which I have not lived with her before.
Yeah, you understand how when the noise is too much,
Yeah.
I just fold myself up and I become quiet, and then everyone ceases to exist. And that can be days, that
Yeah.
can be weeks. And I think the people that have gotten the most hit
Yeah.
out of it are my parents
Yeah.
and my actual siblings. So, yeah, very introverted with good people skills. Yeah, and very nomadic. I don't like being in one space for a long time because growing up, we didn't stay in one place for a long.
You were moving
We were
all the
moving.
time.
Yeah, like my childhood growing up. Yeah, we moved from place to place, place to place, place to place. So when I sit in a certain place that is not home for a long time,
Yeah.
I feel sick. Feel very sick. I want to move like quickly. I
Okay.
want to see something new. I want to get to entertain something that is very new. But I think yeah, being self reliant and self dependent, being introverted a lot because I just didn't want to speak to bullies, hear them, hear what people have to say about me, I am not interested. Especially if you don't have any solution for me, you
So
can.
wait, so you mean you being introverted is a product of you being bullied?
Yeah,
Ah,
being bullied.
then you being self-reliant is a product of what?
Me being self-reliant and self-dependent is a product of asking for help and never getting it.
Wow.
Yeah. Or you get the help, but it's below par.
I get you. I get you.
Or you're actually scolded for the help that you need.
Yeah, scolded for asking for help. Life is tragic, bro. I told you. I get you. I get you.
Possibly
I
so.
get you.
Yeah.
I get you. I think for me, many of my traumas have done the opposite of what um you would expect trauma to actually do for you.
Yeah.
For example, growing up in a house where I witnessed a lot of violence, the common one is to become like this person that's comfortable with violence or hitting
Violence.
women. It's
Yeah,
actually done
exactly.
the very exact opposite for me. Like
Opposite.
I'm so non-violent that you can pick on me all you want. You can say what you want. You can provoke me as much as you want. Even if you wake up to that, okay, I'm going to fight this guy. We need to put hands on each other. You come and say all the nice things that you're supposed to say to someone before you get them to fight
Yeah.
you. I won. I'm so I'm so non-conflict. Even in I'm saying this on the podcast. Even in relationships, I don't like arguments.
Who does? I don't get it. Like, why are we arguing when we can have a comprehensive conversation about?
I don't know. I know. I
I
know.
don't know who brought this up, but that's society's standard. Please, someone should look it over.
Me, I'm speaking for me and my household. I'm just my wife. If you're watching, I'm very non-conflict. I'm very 100% conflict avoidance because of where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Uh, if you want an argument, I will never give it to you. I'll allow you to say what you want to say. You will scream on top of your voice. You will shout all you want. But for me, my stance, because of where I'm coming from, I'll always be conflict avoidant. I'll be quiet. Yes, you will disrespect me, but after you're done, I'll sit and think about everything you have said.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I pick more disrespect than you actually bringing concern, we're done. Because
And
I
the
couldn't.
disrespect, though.
Yeah, what done? Like,
It's funny. You've just reminded me of something.
yeah,
It's how I get closure of something when having a conversation with someone.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't need you to I don't need you to scream. It would just be like a normal conversation. And I would have picked up everything I need to pick up,
yeah,
and I would give you the distance that you deserve. Because at that point you are going to mess up my peace. And one thing we're not messing up
yeah.
is my
It's my
peace.
peace. Protect my peace at all costs.
At all
At
costs.
all
Not that I'm
costs.
cutting you off or I'm canceling you.
But
I'm just going to give you that distance.
let's protect the peace by all means necessary. Then I think the other thing for me has been it's made me more. I used to be nice,
Yeah.
but now I'm like 100% kind.
That's too.
Like kind, because we all carry these scars with us every single where
Single.
we go.
Yeah.
And I'm trying by all means to learn to be in a place of seek to understand first,
Yes.
because a trauma is a huge reason why people is a huge valid reason as to why people are doing many things they're doing.
Yes, exactly.
Unless you have experienced what they have experienced, you would have the right to judge them for doing what they're doing.
Exactly.
But if you've never, this goes for everything, whether they're a believer or not a believer,
or not.
whether they are sinning more than you are,
You or
them
not.
them experiencing the trauma they experience is a valid reason to why they're doing what they're doing. It makes so much sense to them. Hey, the music has finished. Yeah, it makes so much sense to them as to why they are living the way they're living, because what they experienced gave them every reason to. And sometimes I feel like, especially as believers, I posted about this, especially as believers, we are so quick to judge people based on where we find them. We've actually seeking to because Jesus did this. He sought to understand first.
Exactly. And I'll add to
Yeah,
that.
yeah, feel free.
So I think even that when it comes to Christianity is a trauma. Let me just be
Yeah,
honest.
go ahead.
It's because you have seen people do certain things, or you have perceived people according to your past experience, that you now begin to judge others out of your
Yeah.
experience, not necessarily on who they
Yeah.
are. So it's out of who you are. So most believers want to live a perfect life
Yep.
because they are now
Yeah.
saved, but they forget that they have humanly tendencies,
100%.
and that also makes them seen differently from the next person. So, because your uncle was, sorry to say, a drunkard, you
Drunken
find me
master.
at a lounge. You find me at a lounge, and I am drinking
Yeah.
whatever mocktail I'm drinking. The first thing you say is, "She's drinking a cocktail."
Banwa
You
oko abuser.
exactly, or that I'm dressed a certain type of
Yeah.
way means that I love to sleep around.
Yep.
There are people who dress so, I don't want to say Christianly, but long skirts, head
Modesty,
wrapped. No, not even modestly.
but blouses.
Now I'm a blouse area.
Proceed.
But what they do in the night, you'll be very shocked. And
Yep.
then there'll be someone who is very dressed differently.
Can I add a caution before you proceed?
Yeah,
As we are speaking, validating trauma as a reason to act the way you want, it doesn't give you the license to actually continue doing what you're doing
exactly.
or continue sinning. Self-awareness is actually one of the things that gets you from
Out of the
out of it.
box.
When you are
Yeah,
aware, okay, the reasons for why I am acting the way I'm acting is because I've never been loved in my house.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I seek for love in different means.
Exactly.
Become self-aware, it ends there.
It ends there.
The reason
You
I
need to
drink is
change.
because I came from a family where we had nothing.
Yeah.
I was always depressed, and alcohol is the antidepressant for
Depressant
me.
that I had.
Our self-awareness, you stop. You can continue.
Yeah. So those who dress in
Yeah.
dropping dresses, almost the ankle,
It's
and
almost
then
touching the
those,
floor.
it's actually sweeping,
Yeah.
and those that are dressed in a bodycon.
Yep.
But you'd find that that one who's even dressed in a bodycon, even though it's being judged,
Yep.
is actually adhering to purity
Yep.
and celibacy.
Yep.
Than that person in the
I
dress that
have
is
a big
sweeping.
thought to add on this. Finish.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And somebody with okay, let me just give vivid example.
Give
Let me
it.
be honest.
Give it.
So I work as an advocate, and one of the things has to do with health,
Yep.
right? And then it goes down to HIV.
Yep.
Now HIV goes down to condomizing.
Yep.
So I usually am found with a lot of condoms, but don't come to me. Go to the clinics; they give for free.
Nakwatama rubbers. Protection.
Protection. So because of that, you're perceived a certain way because
Yeah.
why do you always have these things?
Yep.
I work with these things.
Yeah. So they will think the opposite, that just because you
They'll
got the
think-
rubbers, you are in the streets.
Yes, and now they'll tell you, oh, this girl is always praying, shan, 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 shan.
But
I'm
she
like,
has the rubbers.
she has the rubbers.
Ah.
I'm like, no thanks. That's where I work, and I am trying to make sure that people are safe. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether I am Christian or not. The facts on the ground is young people are having sex, we're having teenage pregnancies,
And
we're
you
having
can't stop
HIV
everybody.
that is rampantly rising.
Yup.
So the only thing we can do is help.
Yep. And you
So-
can't you can't save everybody. You can't save everybody.
everybody.
You
Yeah.
can't save
You can't
everybody.
tell everybody to abstain.
Yep.
No one will. Yeah,
Yep,
those
people
who
wanna do
listen,
it.
listen. Those who can't, let's move on.
Yep.
Give them the condom. Let's move on.
Yep. Yep.
Another one is the LGBTQI community.
Why are you gay? You are gay. Uh-huh.
So some of them, their decision is based off of trauma, but others is based off of their hormones or how their body is made up. So them being
hormonal imbalances.
yeah,
Yep.
them being transgender is because of what is happening in their bodies. Others is based off where they grew up or how they felt while
Yep.
they were growing up. So with that,
Yep.
I feel like the Christian community sometimes does the most
Yep.
because they are not sinning in that light, so they feel they are better. of which no sin is above the other. So
Yeah.
the Bible says that it's not me. Go to your Bibles.
Yeah.
No sin is above the other. So the fact that you
Yeah.
continue to give someone offense
Yeah.
is also sin.
Yeah. You heard it. You heard
Yeah,
it.
it's also sin.
It's also
So
sin. It's also sin.
don't judge on the base of, because Jesus, if it were up to Jesus,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have spoken to that woman who was a prostitute.
You said she
But
was a
him, a
prostitute.
whole saint, a perfect man,
A perfect man.
said, if you have not
You
done
ain't Jesus,
anything wrong,
nigga.
stone this woman. But nobody did, because we are all sinners, born and bred.
You know, the crazy thing is that I was about to reference that same scripture of anybody who's never sinned before,
Before
cast the
cast
first
us
stone.
a first
And you
stone.
know, the crazy thing we do with people who come to the Christ,
Yeah.
to the Christ, eh?
Yeah,
Which is Jesus Christ. I like
Yeah.
using the Christ.
The
I don't know, it
Christ.
sounds cool in my head.
exactly.
So one of the worst things I think we do as believers is when somebody comes
Yeah.
after living a whole life of sin. Firstly, we ignore the sick to understand first,
Yeah.
because I believe sometimes you can pray for them. They can say the Lord's Prayer, come into my life, be my Lord and personal Savior. But however, getting to the root of why they ended up where they are
Oh,
provides
yes.
more of a solution than actually just telling them to come to Christ.
Exactly.
Because if we don't get to the root
of the cause.
of the thing,
Yeah.
we won't solve it at the end of the day.
No.
And if we seek more to understand that, okay, when you're a person that's been addicted to porn, for example,
Yes.
you've been addicted for 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Lord's Prayer doesn't change you indefinitely in your habits. In your spirit, yes.
Yes.
But in your habits,
In your flesh.
it takes time. So I find it funny that people would expect somebody who came to church today, got saved today, who's been dealing with drugs for the last 10 years, to
Exactly.
start acting right in the first 2 weeks of being a saint
And stop taking drugs.
and stop taking drugs.
They can reduce the intake.
They can
but
reduce.
They won't stop.
A person has been fornicating for 10 years. You expect me to stop tomorrow? Just because I said, Lord, come into my life and be my Lord and
Be
personal
my
Savior.
Lord and
There's need for us to allow people to go through process.
yes.
John talks about how God begins to prune us.
Yes. He prunes us. He purges us to where we now want more of him and where we die to our own flesh.
And that process involves things like withdrawals. And that's why people
Yeah.
fall back into sin.
Yeah.
But if the conviction is still there, because the conviction only comes back, me, this is what I believe, the conviction only comes back to sin is when you accept Jesus again.
Yeah.
If you've never accepted Jesus, there's no conviction over sin. You've just been living anyhow.
Yeah.
But when you accept Jesus as Lord and personal Savior, you can be sinning, but the conviction will be there after sin all the time. No, that was wrong.
Oh, exactly.
You do it again, that was wrong. That
Yeah.
is also a process.
Yeah.
And we can help these people by understanding that we check them first of all. Okay, you nice. I start accept. What are they? Have they been drinking? For how long? When did they ever try to stop? And how can we help them stop? Okay, we know that they've been doing for 10 years. It won't take 2 years. It won't take 3 years. It might take another 10 years for them to stop.
Yeah. Or 20.
Or 20. Because it's now you're building a whole different man from that time. And we can help them by first understanding after they give their life, okay, where have you been? What
also-
places have you been in?
And also, it's really about the change that they want to have.
Yeah.
Why have they come to Christ? Because you have to understand all that.
Yup.
Because then, even when you go, I'll give an example of when you go to a doctor, right?
Yup.
You go to the doctor, and as long as you have not necessarily told him where
Yup.
the pain is
Yeah.
or how you're feeling, he
Yup.
might give you a prescription that is totally wrong.
Yup.
And so, if he has no understanding of that, trust me, you won't get healed.
That is the whole process I'm talking about.
Exactly.
The
So
whole
our
question
the solution is to have more of support groups and counseling groups in the church than those prefect preachers and teachers that have been awarded certain positions in the church.
heavy on having, I'm not big on counseling, but I'm big on community.
Yeah. So so, so counseling is majority of the times when you go to church, you
Yep.
just hear counseling for marriage.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
we
yeah,
need
yeah.
counseling sometimes doesn't mean one-to-one counseling. It means support groups, which means a community.
Yep.
So you meet a community of yourselves in the church who've been through such, and how that your experiences might be different, but how you overcame.
Okay.
And that's how it is. You can only overcome something or speak about something if you have run through it.
Yep.
I will not talk about being a drunkard. I don't drink alcohol. So
Real.
even how the process is done, how
Real.
that someone comes out, I can only speak about it to a certain extent, but I've never lived through it.
Yep.
And life is more through lived experiences than it is hearsay.
Yep. Yep. Because I also believe that we might experience the same thing or been through the same thing, but how we come out is different. What it does to us is,
Exactly.
for example, me, I've been in a household GBV. I'm a whole different person. I'm more kinder. I'm more
Yeah.
patient. I'm more understanding, and
Yeah.
I'm hyper, non-conflict. But for
Yeah.
somebody else, it might be the opposite.
Eesh.
They
The
they are on the other
majority
side of
of the
pummeling
bridge.
people. You get what I'm saying? So I personally believe even though we've been through the same things, the experiences shape us differently. But if we
Because we're
sit at the
different
table
people.
where, okay, you've been through that, we've been through that, how have you maneuvered? How have you gotten here without any place of you should have been okay by now. Me, I
Yeah.
went through it 2 years ago. I am
Yeah.
fine
I
now.
am fine
How
now.
come you?
Yeah, no. Like placing your expectations on other people, that's a huge weight. Change is personal. Change is very
And it
personal.
takes time. This
And it
process
takes
say.
time. Yeah.
This process say. I got a question. I got a question.
Yep.
I got a question. Where my questions at? I've lost my questions.
The
Okay, it's not the
Is
last
it the
one. We're
last
still
one?
going. We
Oh
still
well.
got time. We still got
Okay.
time. It feels like we've been talking for 20 minutes though.
Yeah, it
Okay.
does.
So just by mentioning, what events in your life would you say have been the most traumatic for you? By
Last question.
mentioning, by mentioning, what would you pin have been the most traumatizing events in your life? Just by mentioning, no details. And also, we're going to close with this. What would be some of the things you tell somebody that's dealing with any traumatic experience? And you can give an example.
So I think um coming from I think it wouldn't even be my friends. I think it would come from my family.
Yeah.
So I came from a single
House.
household.
Yeah.
The time I was born, my parents were going through a divorce
Yep.
and had been separated. So you had to go through all that trauma. So which made me a nomad.
Yep.
I think that affected me a lot in
Yeah.
terms of you living in other people's homes. There is only so much you can ask for, and
Yeah.
you have to give grace because they are not your parents and they have kept you for so long.
Yeah.
And in some certain instances, you cannot be treated like their own child because that's their child.
Yep.
That's just normal. They're giving you a well, perfect life then.
Yep.
Yeah. Very, very. So I feel like that my childhood was the most
Traumatizing.
traumatizing
Okay.
experience I had.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to adult quickly
Yep.
than other young people. Yeah,
So you became an adult quickly because of your experiences and
of my
childhood.
experiences. Yeah,
Okay.
you couldn't do certain things as other young people. Yeah, you could have parties here and there,
Yeah.
but you couldn't go maybe for sleepovers, or
Yeah.
you couldn't do these other things because you had certain responsibilities that you had to do. So, yeah,
Okay. So in the last question was, what would you say to somebody who has recognized their trauma in order to get them on a process of healing themselves?
I think when it comes to trauma,
Yep.
it is mental health, and mental health is usually a personal decision for change.
Yep.
No one can force you to
To
ca-
change.
to change. Yeah.
Yep.
So for you to come out of that trauma, you have to be very self-aware.
Yep.
And when you understand what the problem is, then you begin to deal with the problem. And sometimes you constantly have to ask for help, but it also plays a part that you work on yourself
Yep.
in the light of you not being what your trauma is
Okay.
and removing your trauma from who you are. So you take steps. There are steps. You firstly being self-aware. This is my trauma.
We can add 2 steps.
Yeah, this is the trauma that I have, and then how then can I let it go? If you can watch people that have a similar trauma, YouTube usually has these things,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
read good articles
yeah.
and how they overcame it, and then you understand with how you deal with things so that you're able to now deal with your trauma,
Okay.
because everyone deals with things very differently.
True.
So that understanding also helps. Then secondly, you now put in the work for that trauma to not be your lived experience or reality.
Yeah,
So every time you see something that looks like it,
yeah.
what is your reaction to it? How are you going to deal with it? And then how then can we overcome it? Yeah.
I'm heavy on do the work. I feel like one thing that keeps us in trauma, living with our traumas for a long time, is our inability to actually face them.
Yeah.
You have to face that moment that
Yeah.
happened to you when we were young. You have to face that inner child and pick that inner child up. I'm like, yo, things are a little bit different now. You're not ugly. You're beautiful. I know somebody called you ugly in grade 5 or grade 6.
Yeah.
That was one person. You're not your household. Like you said, you are not your trauma.
You're not your trauma. You're not your.
You're not your trauma.
Mother.
You're not
You're
where.
not your auntie.
You're not the person that told you the bad things. You're not the person that made you feel insecure. You're not the
Neither are
bully
you the
that.
house you came from.
Yeah, neither are you the house you came from. You're not the person that bullied you in high school, whatever. You're not the one ex that made you feel like you're not the prettiest
Good
girl in
enough.
the world. You're not that. Yeah, you're far
Yeah.
from it. And I can agree it's very scary to face yourself
Yeah.
and to face your wounds,
Yeah.
because it's like whenever you go back to them, you're opening them up. And it hurts.
Exactly. It hurts. Yeah.
It hurts.
It
That's what
hurts.
makes it hard for people to actually go back to that space. But as we've said a lot,
As we wrap up.
we wrap up. This has been myself and Asante. And see you in the next episode. You got anything to say to your people before we go?
Please tell him to call me again. Not ambushed, but prepared. Yeah.
This was not an ambush. This was in the making for 6 months. I've been asking, not even 6 months. Let me remind people. Back in uni, I said, let's do an episode. But we're here now.
God
But
is
anyway,
watching
I'll end
this
on that
man.
note. Thanks for tuning in. See you in the next episode.